Welcome to episode 405 of Salcedo Paranormal. As always, all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, can be found at the podcast page, and that is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from y'all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And there are a few different ways to listen to the show. Thank you all for listening as always, whether you make it to the live Discord streams or you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds. Or if you listen to the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, right before Troubled Minds comes on. And, of course, that's 2 replays of the show every night. And in the hour right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And I want to thank, as always, Michael Strange of Troubled Minds Radio and Liam Martin of the Exiled Minds podcast for putting the show up on the station and creating the music that you hear in the beginning and the end of each replay. So, and if you'd like to support the show, there are a few different ways to do that. First, you can always share the show with others. Share it with others that you think might be interested. Also, rate and review the show on any podcast platform that you like. And also, if you are into paranormal fiction and nonfiction books, you can find some of those that I've written over on Amazon. Also, if you'd like to make a direct donation to the show, there are a few different ways to do that. A couple of one-time donation links, as well as a Patreon link now, where you can donate directly to the show to help with the costs of research and equipment and everything else that happens along the way. Definitely appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciate all of your support, however you choose to show that. So this is going to be the first part of a 2-part review of Stephen King's novel Revival. And this, I listened to this book years ago. It came out in 2014. And let's see here. So yeah, it was a really, I really enjoyed the book. It takes place over a lifetime, really, the character's lifetime, and just in certain stretches of their lifetime, basically. And so you get to sort of see this relationship between the main characters. The main character, Jamie. Let's see here. What was it? Jamie Morton, I believe. Yeah. So Jamie Morton is a narrator of the story, and he's the one that the story is basically focused on. The other major character is a minister that comes to the town where Jamie lives when Jamie is a kid. And this minister is named Charles Jacobs. So the story starts out with Jamie as a kid, living with his family in Maine. And at this point in the story, when it's starting out, this new minister comes to take over the position in the town, and his name is Charles Jacobs. So Charles moves in with his family. He has a wife and a young son, and so the town really comes to enjoy the family and respect the family, and Jamie really likes the Charles, and so does the rest of the community. Charles also has these weekly youth fellowship meetings where all the kids go to learn about basically the church, and also they Jacobs sort of shows them. Charles basically shows them that his interest in both the, the religion that they're part of, and but also in this interest in electricity, and different experiments that he tries with it, and so his wife also, while they're there, plays music, and they play with the couple's young son. Even though it's obvious, even at this point, that Charles is really sees something in Jamie and gets along with Jamie, even maybe better than he does with his own son. But so the community adjusts and welcomes in this new family, and there's this accident that happens with Jamie's brother Conrad. It's a skiing accident, and he's unable to speak because of this accident, this injury, and the treatments that might be able to help are going to be really expensive, basically beyond the family's means. And so, of course, after hearing of this through just the local community, Charles asks Jamie to bring Conrad to the house so that Charles can maybe help. And so let's see here. I need to see if I can move something here because this is bugging me. So Charles agrees, Charles agrees. Jamie agrees, and he and his older sister, Claire. There we go. That's better. Just moving some windows around on the screen here. They bring Conrad to Charles' house, and so let's see here. Charles has this sort of a ring or a circle that he puts around Conrad's neck, and runs electricity through this, and somehow it actually works, and Conrad is actually able to speak. So this is, of course, is great news for Conrad and the family, and Jamie is amazed at how this happened, and of course this makes him like Jacobs even more, even though it does make him wonder why is this minister so interested in electricity. So sometime after that, there is a terrible accident where Charles' wife and his son both are killed in a car accident. And so Charles basically turns away from the church that he's part of. He actually gives this sermon about how he's basically doesn't believe in any of it anymore, and he's sort of given the silent treatment and decides to leave the area. And but Jamie, even though the rest of the community now is horrified and doesn't want anything to do with Charles anymore, Jamie goes back to the house after all this to visit Charles one more time and to thank him for helping Conrad. And Charles says that it was just a placebo effect. It was nothing really, that the energy didn't really even do anything to Conrad. It was just the hope and the idea that helped. But So from there, this is where the story sort of branches off. Charles leaves the area, and Jamie does not see him for many years. And Jamie grows up to become an adult. He becomes a musician, and he has a motorcycle accident that injures his leg, and basically causes him constant pain. So he gets into he's given painkillers that then lead to him sort of getting hooked on drugs. So, and because of this, and because of missed concerts with this band that he's in, and a whole other series of just unfortunate events there, his band ends up, or the band that he was with ends up leaving him behind at this hotel. And he also finds that he has no more money on his credit card. So basically it's maxed out. So that night he goes to the state fair in this area where he's at, of course, to look for more drugs to help with the pain. And so, but while he's there, he finds Charles Jacobs performing an act at the state fair. And he calls it, Charles calls it Portraits in Lightning. And it's this sort of process where, so Charles asks a young woman named Kathy Morse to volunteer for this this process. So she sits down in a chair, blindfolded, and he takes a picture of Charles takes a picture of her, and this there's this burst of blue light, and her image appears on this piece of metal, this metal plate, and she takes the picture, and Charles offers to do the same for anyone that is interested for a fee, of course. Meanwhile, Jamie is watching all this and feeling worse and worse physically and mentally, and sort of passes out. He just passes out while he's standing there. And he wakes up, and he finds himself in this this travel camper, this what do you call it, RV, and that is owned by Charles Jacobs. So so let me see here. While Jamie is healing and recovering, Charles tells him that he could help Jamie basically with the pain and with the addiction to the drugs. And he could do this through this small application of electricity. And Jamie doesn't know what to think, but also he has nothing else to do, nothing else going on. Doesn't see any other way around what he's going through. So he accepts it and is treated by this transfer, this burst of electricity. But notices that some side effects after he has this treatment that include sleepwalking and sort of going through the motions that he went through before with the drugs, but while he's not aware, and but he still is thankful in a way for not being addicted anymore to anything, and for the pain, not dealing with the pain. So he stays on with Jacobs for a while to help him out as like an assistant for this show that Jacobs is doing, Charles Jacobs is doing. And at one point, Charles is attacked by the father of Kathy Morse, who claims that after she came back home with this picture on this metal plate, she basically lost her mind temporarily and tried to rob a jewelry store. And so and she got arrested because of this. So, of course, Jamie in her fears breaks up this attack on Charles, and so they go on for a little ways longer. Jamie is starting to wonder about these treatments, if they really are as good as Charles says, and just the effects of any kind of this energy that Charles is using on people over the years, including his brother. So they split up again at some point soon after that. Charles refers Jamie to this owner of this music recording studio named Hugh Yates. And so Jamie goes and works for Yates for many years. And over that time, Hugh and Jamie get to know each other and start to talk about their connections with Charles Jacobs and what he did for them both. Apparently, Hugh had been cured of a certain kind of disease, and let me see here. It has it highlighted here. Let me just see what it is. But I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Anyway, and for a time after this cure, Hugh would have blackouts and visions. He called prismatics, where he could see colors shifting and moving back and forth, and felt like he could see into a different world. So this is more of these side effects. And so at some point after that, once these two become friends instead of just employer and employee, Hugh shows Jamie a poster on a website that shows that Charles Jacobs is now acting as pretending to be anyway, a faith healer, minister, and going on these tours, these revival tours across the country. And he's using the same method, or similar method, with electricity to do these healings. And it turns out there's going to be one of these events held right nearby where they're at. And so they go to see this happening and find that that's exactly what's happening. Is Charles is saying that he's healing these people without saying how, and it's through some kind of electricity transfer. So, and as Charles is doing one of these healings, Hugh has another one of these visions of this other world where the colors are shifting again, and also everybody in this this giant tent, appears to be ants instead of people. And so Hugh has to leave the tent and wait for Jamie, and then tells Jamie what he had just seen. So they both leave. They don't talk with Charles at all there, and because they don't know what to think and they're frightened of what's going on. But this also gets Jamie interested in looking into all of the people that Charles has healed. So, as it turns out, many of these people have also had effects, but in some cases even worse than what Jamie and what Hugh experienced, where they went insane, and which led to their death and the death of others around them in some cases. So, and apparently also, it turns out, through looking around online, Jamie finds out that Jacobs has been looking into different ancient occult texts. So here you have him looking into sort of almost what you might say is magic or ceremonies of different kinds. And and as he's doing all these healings. So Jamie is getting more and more worried about all this, and he tracks Jacobs down and goes to the house where he's staying to confront him, and to tell him, look, these healings that you're doing, they're hurting and in some cases killing people. So Charles says he's aware of all these events, but it says that it's basically relatively small number of people that have had these really negative side effects out of all the people that he's helped. But he also tells Jamie that he's done doing these healings anyway. So, and at this point, Charles also offers to make Jamie his assistant and pay him a lot more than Hugh can pay him. But Jamie refuses and leaves because he thinks that even a small amount of people that are having these negative effects, that are dying and taking others with them, is still too much, which is understandable. And so let's see here where we're at. So yeah, I got a few more minutes. Definitely this will be a two-parter here. So and again, this story, several more years pass, and Jamie receives a letter from Charles, and there's another letter included in it, or with it, and it's a letter from this was a girl at the time that Jamie knew her, but now is a woman named Astrid. They were basically sweethearts. They really were close during school, and Astrid has a terminal illness and is asking Jacobs to heal her. And Charles Jacobs tells Jamie through this letter that basically, I will only do this if you come and work for me on this one last experiment that I have to do. So, even though Jamie doesn't want to, he agrees, and he goes to and meets with Charles, and Charles is able to heal Astrid. So that's and so of course Jamie is happy. Astrid and her partner admit that even though they're grateful for the cure, they are somewhat unsettled by Charles Jacobs, and of course Jamie doesn't want to frighten them any more than he has to. So he basically agrees, and so then Astrid and her partner go back home, but Jamie stays on with Charles Jacobs. So I think that's where we'll end this first part for tonight, and I'm going to record these two shows one right after the other, so you should see the other one in the feeds right after this. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.